I put it in the right place, but we'll see. So addition is a plus sign, more than, what else? There's a whole bunch of words. I don't have them all. What else means to add? Adding to. Or it could be adding to. There's a word that starts with S. Okay, Chris, give me a word that means add. Yeah. If you're reading a book or something. Addition, we got it already, though. Plus, that's a good one. Peter, do you have one? Some. Sometimes I go to the store and I forgot something, so I have at my basket, I have to get something in addition to. It's kind of your idea. Adding to, in addition to. Oh, anybody think of some other ones? We can always add to things. I got two more words. When you do go to the store and you check out, they give you the what? Total. And in my house, well, right now I have 9 animals. 2 are moving. But I have how many animals all together? Did I miss anything? Is anybody thinking? I don't have any answers to this. I don't remember all the words. But we'll find some when we do the word problems. Oh, please remind me if I go too fast, because you are writing on an iPad. It makes a difference. And the styluses, I don't know how much they're costing at the they're only $2 here? At our store? That's not bad. A stylus. You might like it better for writing. At the Skip Booster store. $2, that's not bad. I might go, I keep losing mine, or people wreck them, whatever. Okay, good enough? It's good enough for me right now. Subtraction, the symbol is a minus sign. What are some words that mean subtract? Minus. Oh, I like that difference. Less than. Well, somebody said take away. Now, here's the problem with less than. The order matters. Because now you're talking subtraction. The than reverses basically what you're looking at. So you have to watch your order. We'll probably do some problems. Chris, do you have any other ones? What else means subtract? Besides subtract. On a similar note to less than, you can have less, and it's different than less than. So it may be picky, but it isn't the same thing. Less just means to subtract. Less than is a comparison, so it's different. I can't think of anything right now. Anybody else thinking of anything? Well, guess what the next one is? Multiply. And we use a time sign, but we're not going to use a time sign. So then in elementary school, you get a dot. But the problem with dots is we get them mixed up with decimals. So then what they did, and they should do from the very first time you do multiplication, is they should use parentheses. Because then there's no question. Okay, what means multiply? Product. You use that word all the time. That's what a production line is all about. And yeah, I could have you submit these notes via Dropbox today just to see that you're doing your notes. Some people who are not. You can tell by looking at your body language. Okay, what else? Multiply. Bruceman, do you have any words? Times. You all know that one. You all have iPads. You have multiples of the iPads. Multiply, multiples, same kind of thing. Now be careful with the word total because sometimes the total might have been in context with a multiplication problem. Might. Usually total means sum total. Anything else? Okay. I'm trying to think of other ones I can't. And last but not least, we have division. What are the symbols for that? We have this little division symbol, but there's another one. The slash. I don't like the slash necessarily. If I want to talk about, I'll use numbers, 2/3, I would prefer that over this. Because when I have to get common denominators, that's hard to work with. I don't have a problem with it, but some of you get confused as to what's what there. So I prefer to see this bar. And this bar here, by the way, I don't know if I said it in this class, it's called a vinculum. I don't know if any other math teacher in this district that knows that word, and I don't know why I know that word, but I do. Okay, what means division? What's the obvious? Divide. Divide or divide by. They're a little bit different. I can think of a word that you don't realize. Divide by. No, I think I won't even use that word. Dividend? Yep. Oh, I know. There's a really hard word. Starts with a Q. How do you know that? If we can learn those hard words, we can learn more hard words. What else you have? I think that's probably all I can think of. Well, when we go through this, if we see some more, sometimes, what about some fractions? Like if it's half, well, you can think of it as division. So I'm just gonna put it in parentheses because fractions can have a variety of meanings. Okay, let's do some problems. Now we are going to write an expression to represent an algebraic expression to represent this. This is called an expression because it's only part of the sentence. Okay, maybe picky. An equation has a verb. Okay, Matt? An equation has a verb. An expression, there's no action. It's a phrase. It's a math phrase. And this is honestly a direct translation. Are you all taking a language? If you're taking a language, if you're not taking a language, you need to, because to get into any college today, you have to have some languages. What language are you taking? Spanish. No hablo español. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to translate that English phrase, not a sentence, into a math phrase. Because that's why we all do this, is because it's easier to figure out what's happening if I can write it with letters. It's a new language, but it's a language. If we learn the rules, we can do very well. The key word here is sum. Now, what do you want to call the number? I don't know what the number is. X? You really do need this. Let X equal a number. So if you want to write it once on your worksheet and just always use X or N, whatever you'd like, and I'm not going to be picky about it today. But when we get into hard problems, I might have to be picky about doing that statement. Because the minute you start using X, I'm going, what's X? X represents a number. So what does this tell me to do? It says the sum of a number. I'm going to add, that's right. So my number is X. Sum tells me to add. So what am I going to add to it? Sometimes they're direct translations. This one's a little bit of an indirect one. They could have asked for product. They didn't. Okay, you ready? This is the one that's tricky. What do you want to call the number? X again? A. You can call it Lucas. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it star. As long as you tell me what it is, it's fine. What's less than mean? Less than. What's that mean? Remember which one it came under? with subtraction. So that means we're going to subtract. Which one comes first? Now you think. Order matters in subtraction. Is it 2 minus a, or is it a minus 2? Read it again. 2 is less than this number. It's a minus 2. If you have to say it out loud to get it, say it out loud to get it. It's this one. I'm going to take a little red X and cross that one out. If you want 2 minus a, this would be in English 2 less a. The than switches the order. But I don't want you to memorize it. Read it. 2 is less than this number. So I have to subtract 2 from the number. Okay. The difference of a number and 8. And actually, they didn't really tell us the order here, but I would go in the order as written. Anyone want to try this? What do you want to call the number? B? I only heard B. I heard something there, but I couldn't hear it. So difference, what does that mean? Difference? Subtract. I would go in the orders written. So what should this be? B minus 8. I would not make it wrong if you said 8 minus B. I just want to know how far apart they are. And literally, I probably need an absolute value symbol there. So I'm not going to be picky about this one. It can't be. It's confusing. How's it writing on your iPad? Is it okay? I know the sophomores don't like it, but I think it's okay. Half of a number. What do you want to call the number? X? Okay. I'm going to try and learn some names here. Emily, right? There's a couple ways you can write this. What's half of? Oh, we forgot the of. What does of mean? Multiply. We probably should put it back there. So it's half, which is 1/2 of, I prefer parentheses, or you can put a dot there. It's okay, of the number x. I am going to go back, see if I can find it. That's division of. There. As I want my smartboard complete. Okay. Triple a number. What does that mean? Multiply by 3. We didn't have that in our list either. So this is 3. Oh, I don't have the number. What do you want to call the number? Brisbane, your choice. What do you want to call the number? A. Okay. I should do this. And since you have the document in front of you, in the old days, I would have to, in my classroom, when I was a student, I'd have to write this down because we didn't have copies, and then I'd have to then do the work. So I took notes. Maybe it'll be that way for you in college, unless college teachers change. Could change. Okay, now we're getting a little more complicated. 2 times the number plus 4. Chris, can you help me with this one? What do you want to call the number? R. So I want 2 times the number. How would I write that? 2R plus 4. So I said this isn't a particularly long assignment. Some things may be a little more challenging than others. It's got to be a little more complicated. Ready? Whoa, that one's more complicated. Half of the difference of a number and 7. Order of operations is important here. First, let's do the easy part. What do you want to call the number? C. Now you have to read it carefully. Half of the difference between a number and 7. Do I take half of the number, or do I have to subtract first? So that's why I said it's challenging. Half of the difference. What's the difference of a number and 7? How do I write that? C minus 7. I want to subtract those first, and I want half of that. So guess what I have to do? Parentheses. You could also write it this way, C minus 7. Use the vinculum, because that's a grouping symbol, like parentheses, divided by 2. Sorry, you got the old teacher. You learn a few things after 35 years of teaching. You think I knew all this stuff when I first started? No. I learned a lot. But I don't know if you realize that this is a grouping symbol. It says, do that subtraction first, and then take half. The key here, it isn't half the number and find the difference. It's half of what? Difference. You got to do that first. So we might make some mistakes there. I think that's challenging. Now we are going to write a math sentence. We're going to write an equation. So this isn't written quite right. We're going to write an algebraic equation. Now, to represent the written expression and solve for the variable. So we have to have an equation if we're going to solve, because remember what solve means. What does solve mean? Find the number that makes the sentence true. Can't solve it if I don't have a sentence. So I really should have equation there. 5 less than a number is 13. Okay, what are we going to call the number? Easiest part here. X? Okay. Now, this is the hard part. Less than we know means to do what? Subtract. Brisbane, which one goes first? The X or the 5? The X. The than switches the order. I've got a number. I want 5 less than that number. So it's X minus 5. Is the easy part, because that's always the equals. And the answer is 13. Now, does it ask us to solve? No, it didn't. Life lesson here. What's that? Right? Oh, it does say solve. If they didn't say that, then I would leave it. Don't do more than you're asked to do. It's a life lesson. If you have to present something in class, only do what you've done your research on. Don't say, oh, I'm going to show me I'm even smarter than that and go on to something else. Deadly. It happens on the AP exam, too. And then we have to take points back because it's not right what they write. Okay. We can do the solve process, or can you just tell me what the answer is? Notice that my adding 5 is on both sides. Think of that as a wall. Some of you have some problems with that. So, Chris, what's the answer? I checked there. I'm going to kind of let you fall. X equals 18. Yeah, maybe easy. Maybe you're ahead of me, but you better check it, see if it's right. I checked my answers. I went to the geometry teachers today and said, do you have any answers for this smartboard presentation? Because I wanted to check, make sure I was right. So if I have to check, what makes you think you don't? Okay, negative 11 is added to a number, and the result's going to be 20. What do you want to call the number? N. Let's see if we can learn some names here, too. Okay, so how do you write that? I can have you guys come up and do it, but it's negative 11 added to. Lucas, what am I going to put for added to? What am I going to put for added to? I'm translating it. What does added to mean? What operation? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Add to my number, n, is equals 20. Here's where we can make some little mistakes. If I don't show my work, I probably will do the wrong operation. And even I will do that wrong. So how are we going to solve this? What are you going to add to both sides? 11. I want this to be 0. I want this guy all alone. That's the little brother or sister you would like to get rid of. We isolate them. Get rid of them. Got to do the 11 on the other side. So what's n equal to? And I checked that. That's 0, right? Okay, what's that going to give me, Matt? What was the answer? I think I might have to move you guys because you're not with me. 31. This is the only hour you get to have with me. I mean, I think it's a good thing, but this is it. Otherwise, you got to do it yourself. And I don't want you to do that. Oh, tripling number is 18. Yeah, it's done with you. What do you want to call the number? Xavier, what do you want to call the number? X? Triple it. Lucas, what is that? Tripled. 3x Chris, what's this one? No headsets? Or is that not a headset? Never mind. I got lights in my eyes. Is 18. Okay, I'm not going to show the work. What's x equal to? Okay, on your quiz, some of you got the wrong answer. You didn't check. Always check your work because you turned in your papers early. Some of you worked right to the end. That's good. But those of you who turned your papers in early and made mistakes, you didn't check your work. This is not a race to see who gets it done first. This is a race to see who gets it done best. And there were some perfect papers. But 3 times what gives you 18? 6. If you were to say it, you would get that. Okay, this one's tricky. Half of a number minus 2 is negative 6. So you may have to go home and read these out loud because I think when I read out loud, it's easier. Okay, what do you want to call the number? Zach, what do you want to call the number? X. Now you read it. I want half of a number minus 2 is negative 6. Matt, what do you get? Pick an A because you're not focused. Half of a number. What's half of a number? X what? Over 2. You can do it that way or you could write 1/2 x. It doesn't matter. That's right. Equals negative 6. I tried to get you guys to clear fractions first because it's actually easier, but some of you didn't want to do that. I don't care. So well, let's take the top one because we saw some problems like that on that little quiz, test, whatever you want to call it. And what do you do next? I want x all by itself. I undo the adding first, or subtracting in this case. What do we have to do? Add 2. You need to be 95% proficient on this. I know it's crazy, but you really do need to do that. So when I do that, I still am left with x over 2. That goes away. Cross it out if you'd like. And what's negative 6 plus 2? Negative 4. Some of you looked at that on your quiz and said, I don't know how to do that. Not true. Think about it. What number do you divide in half to get negative 4? Just think about it. Half of what number? Forget the negative right now. Half of what number is 4? 8. So the way to show your work, if you want to, is to multiply by 2, multiply by 2. I got to get a negative 4, so 8's not quite right. It's close. This is going to give me what? Negative 8. And I could check it. Let's go back to the word problem. Half of my number, half of that number, what's half of negative 8? It's negative 4. And then I'm going to subtract 2 from it. I get negative 6. We are not in a race. I'm going to give you plenty of time on Friday to get this quiz done. I want you to check your work. If I can get you to do that, boy, life gets a lot easier in math. Are we done yet? Oh, yes, that was it. This is the last one. Like, really? Okay, we are going to write a math sentence. All those expressions should be changed to equations. 3 less than the product of a number and negative 6 is 9. A lot of stuff to do. So, what do you want to call the number? Max Kavanaugh? Is that it? N. I like that. Yay. I like N. N for number. 3 less than the product of a number and negative 6. What do you do first? Do we do the subtracting first or do the multiplying? Multiplying. So it's n times negative 6, but we write it negative 6n. And I want 3 less than that. I wanted to put my 3 here, but it's in the wrong place. 3 less than that will be what? Minus 3 equals 9. You guys solve that. Tell me what you get. I've done it so many times, I can do it in my head. Negative 2. The other thing we can do is I give you products and I have you hold up like those little whiteboards, your iPad. We add 3 to both sides. I want to get the n all by itself, so negative 6n is equal to 12, and then what do? Divide by negative 6. This is for the benefit of those people who didn't get that. Okay, that's what we're doing. We have a worksheet. It's also on, and I really don't want to get this out again, but it's on Schoology. If you go under worksheets, I believe it's there, and it's worksheet 5. Doesn't say it on here. It's mine's pink, but it's 05, and tomorrow we're going to do 06. So it's worksheet 05. I'm going to write pink because I'm going to hand it out to you anyway. And then I'm going to give you back your quizzes, and I don't have to go through them too much, I don't think.